Briefcase Crimes contains graphic depictions of violent acts, bad jokes, and loud dog noises. It's not intended for all audiences, and listener discretion is advised. Welcome, listeners, to Briefcase Crimes.
I'm Hannah, and I'm full of terrifying facts about horrific events.
I'm Liz, and I'm full of morbid curiosity.
Elizabeth.
Yes, Hannah.
Boy, do I have a doozy for you.
I'm afraid.
You should be. This is, I don't know what possessed me to want to do this case, but we're doing it.
Okay.
So, that's what's happening.
Yeah, I'm definitely afraid.
I heard about this in high school.
Okay.
In my honors English class.
Oh.
Yeah. And I know that a bunch of other podcasts have covered it to the point where, like, the Wikipedia page of this has, like, a podcast section.
Oh, geez.
Of, like, which podcasts have talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not necessarily just true crime. Or, like, there's crime in it. But that's, like, not, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of, like, true crime stories.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. But it is crime. There is a crime in it. It's a crime against God.
Oh.
There's a like an actual human laws crime, but then there's also like a crime against me personally. I feel like as we go on, you'll understand.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah. So I'm going to start us in 1940. Okay? October of 1940 specifically. Florinda Hoyos forced her way into Count Carl von Kossel's Key West, Florida home.
Okay.
That's how we begin.
Wow.
Once inside, she found what she thought at first was a life-size effigy of her dead sister.
Okay.
However, she quickly realized that it was not an effigy.
It was her actual dead sister.
It was the corpse of her sister who had died 9 years prior.
9 years?
9 years.
I have so many questions.
They will all be answered, and you will have more by the end, I'm sure. So, let's back up.
I don't know if I'm ready.
You just abort mission right away. We haven't even told the case yet. I'm just
it.
What are you reading? What are you recommending? Okay, backing up. Karl Tanzler was born in Dresden, Germany in 1877. I know what you're thinking. Mm-hmm. Who is this guy?
Exactly.
What does he have to do with this case? At some point, he was like, there's this like whole backstory with him that I didn't really want to put in here because it doesn't really matter, and also because like he's not a super reliable narrator. But at some point he ended up in Australia, which was an English colony at the time.
Right.
With the outbreak of World War I, and the main antagonist of that war being Imperial Germany, he was put into an internment camp.
Okay.
I don't super love the word internment camp because I think that it tries to skirt around the fact that it's a concentration camp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if there is, like, a pedantic difference between them. But
not that I know, because there is a difference between concentration and, like, a death camp.
Yes. But, like, internment and because concentration just means, like, we're gonna concentrate the, like,
population.
Group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't super love that because, like, I think the U.S. tries to be like, oh, we had Japanese internment camps. But, like, yo, those were definitely you were concentrating a population.
Yeah, they were labor camps.
Yeah. So he was put in a concentration camp in Australia. And this is substantiated. Like, this did happen. But there's a lot of other stuff that go on here about, like, him trying to break out and, like, a sailboat and all this stuff that I'm just, like, not going to get into. But if you're listening and you're interested, I'm going to put all my sources in the brief as usual. So if you want to, like, look into that more, if that's something that you're like, I need to know more about this guy, go to the brief. It's in our link tree in our description. Around 1920, so World War I is done now.
Okay.
He goes back to Germany and he marries a woman named Doris Schaefer. And they have 2 daughters, Aisha and Clarissa.
Wow.
Clarissa, however, died at the age of 10, so in 1934, of diphtheria.
Oh, okay.
Which I believe is whooping cough.
I
believe that's
couldn't tell
the
you.
Same thing.
I'm just stuck on their names because they're. That's why I was like, oh wow, because their names are really different. Unique.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're German.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know that Tanzler was born into a Jewish family. I don't know if those have anything to do with that. But Aisha and Clarissa. Clarissa explains it all.
Right.
One time I asked Ryan, so I like to ask people who their first celebrity crushes were.
Yeah.
Because I like to pull out my first celebrity crush because it's bonkers.
Oh.
Like, who was your first celebrity crush, Elizabeth?
I never really did celebrities. Like, I still don't.
But you didn't have anybody that you, like, just had a crush on that was, like, moderately famous?
Zooey Deschanel.
Okay. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, usually people have to think for some time about their celebrity crush. And so I asked Ryan, and he, like, immediately, I was like, who was your first celebrity crush? And he was like, Melissa Joan Hart, Clarissa Explains It All.
Oh my God.
It was like that specific role. And then I got to pull out that my first celebrity crush was Steve McQueen, who died in 1980.
Hannah.
I can't help it. I can't help it. I was, like, obsessed with Steve McQueen as, like, a prepubescent. What the heck is wrong with me?
There's so much wrong.
It explains a lot. Like, it fits. It's very on brand. But, like, I do recognize that that's bonkers.
I was expecting a lot of wild things, but not Steve McQueen.
He's ruggedly handsome and charming. And died 12 years before I was born.
That's the best kind of man.
Yeah, a dead one. Well, funny you should
I
say
don't
that.
mean
Let's
that.
continue. Let's get back to old Carl Tanzler. In 1926, Tanzler emigrated to the U.S. on his own.
Okay.
So you know this. This happened in your family. One member comes over, gets established, and then the rest of them join them. That happened with your mother's family. So he emigrated to the U.S. He went first to Cuba. And, like, hung out in Havana for a bit.
All right.
He goes, like, all over the place during this part. He's, like, in Rotterdam, and then he goes to Cuba, and then finally, because, of course, this case could only happen in good old Florida, he settles in Zephyr Hills, Florida.
Okay.
And then his wife and children join him there, eventually.
Got it.
They had to have settled between 26 and 1927.
Right.
Because in 1927, he left his family in Zephyr Hills, and he went to Key West, land of Ernest Hemingway, and pie, and alligators.
Mostly the alligators, though.
Mostly.
98% gators.
98% gators, 6% six-toed cats.
Ew.
He went to Key West to work at the U.S. Marine Hospital as a radiology technician. Some things say radiologist, but I'm not sure. I do know that he was a big old liar.
Right.
He, like, he loved to spin a yarn and tell a tale. And so, like, he told people that he was a doctor. He told them he was, like, a former submarine captain. It's like a whole bunch of stories.
Uh-huh.
And he's always described as like an eccentric.
Right.
But let's be real, he was just a liar.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
where's the line between an eccentric and just a liar?
frequency that you get caught?
So it's not lying if you don't get caught.
I mean,
Elizabeth.
no, I'm saying it's lying if you do get caught. It's eccentric if you're just like spinning tails and people are believing you.
But that's still lying.
Well, yeah.
The catching doesn't make it a lie.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that they believed him.
I know, but just because they believe him doesn't mean it wasn't a lie.
I know.
That's what I mean.
Oh.
But, like, I mean, telling people that you were a former submarine captain, that's not really, like, that detrimental to, you know, the common good, unless you're taking people in a submarine.
I really...
Telling people you're a doctor, and you're not?
Harmful. Harmful at best.
Harmful at best. You looked like you were going to say something about being a submarine captain.
I just want to know, like, what was the lead-in to a conversation, or, like, what was happening that he just thought to himself, yes, submarine captain, that's the route I'm going to take.
This is the hill I'm going to fight and die on.
Yeah.
Do we want to discuss our favorite liar in our lives? Do we want to call this person Alexis?
Sure.
Okay. Elizabeth. We have a pathological liar in our lives.
Where do I start? She's not really in our lives anymore, thank God.
She out.
Seriously, where do I start? Let's go big. She once told Hannah that she couldn't hug her because...
No, that's not true. Alexis, in quotes, told Elizabeth and co that she couldn't hug them. She was like, I would give you a hug.
Like a hug goodbye.
But I can't because then I can see how you're gonna die. And the way we, figured, well, first of all, that's not that hard. It's not like an untrackable lie.
Right.
But, the way that we nailed down that was a lie was because when I met her, she hugged me.
Well, yeah, and she had hugged me at least a dozen times before that.
I said to Scott, I was like, it's weird because I just met her, and she was like, oh my God, you have to give me a hug. And Scott went, oh no, now she knows how you're gonna die. She also had a...
Go ahead.
Go for it. No, I was gonna go with the most egregious, but you continue.
Okay. So she was a coworker of Scott's, and, people have moved around, moved jobs a lot. So when this happened, he was not working with her anymore. But another mutual friend was. And she was taking some time off, from work. Going on just vacation time. Who cares where she's going, right? And she had told everybody in the office that she was going to a different place. So they kept a whiteboard and they wrote down all of the different places that she said that she was going to go. And one of our favorites was that she was going to go climb K2.
Which I love because there's something about being a pathological liar where you can't just tell normal lies.
No.
You have to go huge where
all
nobody will
in.
Believe them.
Head first.
And, she would tell me things, or my boyfriend at the time she would tell him things, and then I would talk to Liz, and it was why are you lying about things that we can easily check with each other?
Yeah. It was weird. She told Scott that she was married at the time when they met, and she told Scott that her husband never bought her Christmas presents. And so it made Scott and his one friend feel bad. So they went and just bought her something small, on Amazon for Christmas that year. And it came with this little chintzy dolphin necklace. And so he just gave it to her too. 'Cause what's he gonna do with a little cheap dolphin necklace? And then he told She told someone else at work that it was like hand carved by Eskimos. And Scott was like, it was free and came with the thing on Amazon.
Yeah, like, it sounds like we're making this person up.
I'm not, though. I swear to God.
I've experienced her.
There are so many stories. Like,
yeah.
I could go on.
But being a submarine captain and a doctor and all of that feels very much like an Alexis storyline.
It really does.
It feels like he was telling people, like, yeah, I have to go to Michigan this weekend because I'm being a dominatrix for a guy.
I mean, let's really take it home. She lied about having cancer. All right, like, who does that? Like, come on.
Oof.
Yeah, big yikes.
Yeah, oof level 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't lie about having cancer.
Well,
he did lie about being a doctor and a submarine captain, and also he claimed to be a count.
like a count, like a duke count, like in
A count, like a like a yes.
That's
like,
weird.
Like, he claimed to be nobility.
Okay.
So,
like, whatever you say, dude.
But he styled himself as Count Karl von Kossel.
Okay.
Like, that's what his, like, emigration paperwork says.
That's ridiculous.
I, throughout this, call him Count/Dr. Karl von Kossel, because he's called both.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, guy.
He's just living his best life.
Claiming to be nobility isn't hurting anybody either, but the claiming to be a doctor is what I just can't get over.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It was
not like
the
any
20s,
of it is.
though. So, like, how hard was it really to be a doctor?
I mean, prescribe cigarettes and you're good.
Cocaine.
Yeah, cocaína.
He also claimed, because remember, he was very eccentric.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed that throughout his life, like several times in his life, he was visited by visions of his alleged ancestor, Countess Anna Constantina von Kossel.
Uh-huh.
I'm not even sure that he was related to her.
Yeah, that sounds completely made up.
I mean, she was a real person. Like, she was an actual person. She has a Wikipedia page.
Oh.
But the relation there, I'm not sure
probably
exists.
not. I mean, it's not exactly the most reliable source.
That's what I mean. He's not a very reliable narrator.
Yeah.
So she didn't just visit to, like, have a coffee clatch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She visited to show him visions of his one true love.
Oh, because that's the most important thing in the world.
Yes. And also, if you're being shown visions of your one true love, why did you marry Doris?
Oh my God.
Like, why marry?
How
marry and
bad?
have kids?
How bad would Doris feel if she knew that? Did she know all this?
I
Like,
don't know if he,
thanks.
I don't know if he disclosed that to her. Like, listen, you look nothing like my one true love, who I know exactly what she looks like because
seen her in a dream.
I've seen her in visions. He saw these visions a couple different times, like when he was a child in Germany, and then allegedly when he was visiting Genoa, Italy, and I just don't understand.
It doesn't make sense.
I just picture him, because first of all, I just picture everyone in Genoa eating salami.
Oh my God.
Like hard salami.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's because I worked at too many sandwich shops. But yeah, I just picture him sitting there eating some salam.
Hannah.
And
don't call it salam.
Countess Anna Constantina von Kossel was like, yo, here's your true love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, first slide, by the way.
Oops.
That's him. He looks like the kind of man who would be like, yes, I am a doctor and also a submarine captain and also a count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, he looks like a Sigmund Freud-ish, I guess.
He looks like an intellectual.
He does.
Yes.
He looks very intellectual.
Yeah.
And very German.
Yeah.
The woman that Countess Anna Constantina von Kossel was showing him
right.
was dark-haired and exotic-looking.
I hate that already.
Yeah. She definitely wasn't from Germany.
Oh, I don't like it. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it feels very well, first of all, this is the least problematic part of this entire story.
Well,
so
great. That is
strap
very
in.
comforting.
Yeah. He's working at the hospital. He's being a radiology technician or a radiologist.
Is he really, though?
He is.
Okay.
He is. Which, if you don't know, a radiologist or radiology technician is somebody who does x-ray work, like imaging.
I mean, what kind of imaging did they
know.
have then?
X-rays.
And
They
what
had
year
X-rays.
was it?
This is in the 20s.
Wow.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Goes to show, I don't know when x-rays were invented.
They for sure had x-rays because they come up later.
Okay. Fair enough. Like I said, I just didn't know.
So, I know. That's one of those things that, like, I have no, reference of time
Yeah,
of, like, when
none.
we got certain things.
Yep.
I have no clue. Like, I'm reading, well, we'll talk about this later, but the book I'm reading, I was trying to situate it in time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, is this, like, happening now? Is this happening, like, in the past? And it was like, and then they sent a telegram, and I was like, okay, the past, but when the past?
Yeah, that's a broad spectrum of time.
But definitely the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not sending telegrams now, so I knew it doesn't happen now.
Can you, though? Like, it's still a thing that you
Probably.
can do, right? I
don't
mean,
know why
I'm
you
just
would.
speaking hypothetically here.
I don't know, because, like, I don't know if the wires are still run.
Oh, that's a good
'Cause
point.
they had, like, specific things, like, specific apparatus.
I mean, that's a tangent we don't need to get onto.
Why did I say it like that? Apparatus.
That's okay.
On April 22nd, 1930, von Kossel, Tanzler, Dr. Count Carl is working at the hospital when he meets Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyas.
And she is his one true love.
That's what he thinks.
Oh, great. Here we go.
So she was a 21-year-old Cuban-American woman who was suffering from tuberculosis.
Okay.
And yes, he immediately recognized her as the woman from his visions.
Did he look like this at that time, or these later?
He would have been, I'm so bad at math, hold on, 53?
Hard pass.
Yeah, 53, and we talk about this too. Not 2020 53, 1930 53.
Right.
1930 crazy German man 53.
Like a grandfather 53.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if Aisha had children at this point.
Uh-huh.
She would have been 18.
I mean, she might have.
She very easily could have.
Married at 17, you know?
Yeah. Or younger.
Possibly.
So we're going to back up again to talk about Elena.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, she's going to be a large part of this story. Next slide.
Next slide. What do we have here? Oh, she's pretty.
I know. She's beautiful.
She really is.
And that was the thing. Elena was the daughter of a local cigar maker. She had 2 sisters. And she was known around the community as being like a local beauty. Everybody knew her. Everybody knew she was very beautiful. In 1926, when Tanzler was emigrating to the U.S., she was getting married to Luis Mesa, who does not factor in the story, so don't bother writing his name down.
No problem.
Mesa was a stand-up kind of guy who left her after she had had a miscarriage of their child.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, she was 21 in 1930, so she would have been like 16 or 17 when they got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally cool. You're 16 or 17, you just had a miscarriage. Your husband just like dips.
Yeah, why not?
Way to go, Luis.
Uh-huh.
He left her, moved to Miami, and they never like officially got divorced.
Yeah.
They just kind of like
Split.
were estranged.
Ugh, estranged.
Right?
There's always one.
somebody's got to be estranged. I will also say this story does not feature an Elizabeth.
Wow.
It does have an estrangement, but no Elizabeth.
I don't think our last couple have had an Elizabeth.
Yeah, Joan Rabel and Goldine Pizer did not have an Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Robert Hansen had an Elizabeth.
Oh, well.
Elena contracted tuberculosis because it was the late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
The disease at the time was like almost universally fatal.
Yeah.
You get tuberculosis, you're probably going to die from tuberculosis.
Right.
And in fact, most of her immediate family would eventually die from tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wiped out the family. Her family, she was like one of the first to get it. So they brought her to the U.S. Marine Hospital in Key West.
Yeah.
That's where they were from. Where she met Dr. Count Karl Tanzler von Kossel.
Oh, no.
Bonina Brown. And he became like immediately infatuated.
Of course.
And basically took her care into his own hands. And was like, I am determined to save this woman's life because she is the love of my life.
I mean, I'm biased, but ew.
Yeah, and also, like, you're not a doctor, my guy.
Yeah.
You don't know how to, like, what makes you think?
I don't know.
Even doctors at the time, like, it was universally fatal, almost. So, what do you think you're gonna do? You're just a guy.
Yeah.
I don't even know what kind of, like, skills he has besides lying.
He's gonna prescribe her cocaine and cigarettes.
I guess. It's not what he does.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they actually did prescribe cigarettes for tuberculosis.
They prescribe cigarettes for a lot of things. Like, if you watch The King's Speech, which is set in, like, the 40s, the 30s and 40s, Prince Albert, who becomes King George,
mm-hmm.
he has a stammer and a speech impediment, and
right.
his doctor says that smoking calms the throat.
Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong, but, like, this is gross. And, yeah, he
is wrong. That's not how that works. Yeah, no thanks. So what he does is he begins to treat her at her house.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts stealing things from the hospital, including an x-ray machine.
I wonder how he got it out. Do we know how he got it out? Because I'm kind of impressed.
No clue. No idea. Smuggled it out in his butt, maybe.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. I mean, he maybe did it like the dark of night when no one was there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But he smuggles out like an x-ray machine and medications, and he makes up all these tonics and tinctures and stuff to save her from her tuberculosis.
Uh-huh.
And he becomes really close with the family because he's there all the time.
Right.
And he's the one who's gonna like save her life, right?
Ugh, I can't imagine, like, they probably trusted him so much.
Yeah. At least, like, because they probably went to the hospital, and the hospital was like, there's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah, and then he was like, I'm gonna make this my mission, and blah, 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 and they're like, I mean, I'm sure he's like a savior to them.
I'm gonna take so many x-rays. Yeah, I don't have any idea. But he also showered Elena with gifts at this point. Gave her jewelry and clothing and just was like constantly showering her with stuff and professing his love.
Ew.
Disgusting.
PSA for today. If a care practitioner, a medical practitioner, anyone who's caring for you in a medical setting tries to confess their undying love for you, run.
Or gives you jewelry and clothing.
Run, don't walk. Run. Ew.
If you can. Maybe you're there for broken legs.
Then crawl. Just roll away. Just roll down the hill. Roll away.
Yeah, get away from that person.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we like to call a tricky adult.
Yuck.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome. So although he was like constantly professing his undying love, she just like never reciprocated. She was like, you're old and I'm very young and also I have TB.
I mean, that's fair. At that point,
no thanks.
Any excuse.
No gracias. Despite Tanzler's best efforts as a medical doctor.
Right.
On October 25th, 1931, Elena did die from her illness. That is what happened.
Which is sad, but I mean, I know they couldn't really do anything, even if he had been a legit practitioner.
Yeah. And also, at this point, I wish I could say, like, he then went back to Zephyr Hills and lived out the rest of his life with Doris.
But we wouldn't be here if that was the case.
But you already know that her body is in his house.
Oh, good God.
Tanzler insisted that he pay for the funeral and for the construction of an above-ground mausoleum.
That's a big deal.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Like, funerals are expensive. Mausoleums are expensive.
Yeah.
If a care worker, a doctor, a man of medicine, insists on paying for your child's funeral and above-ground mausoleum,
you take it and run.
only if he doesn't have the only key to the mausoleum.
Excuse me? How did he work that out? Like, oh,
Could
sorry.
you try?
Siri wants to be involved.
Siri's like, I know. I know the answer.
No, but like, how did he work that out that the parents are just like, yeah, cool, dope, that's fine.
I don't know. It's not like, so if you go to the next slide here, this is the mausoleum.
Wow.
So it's not like you're going to be going in it.
Assuming.
So much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you would want to go in it. So maybe...
For anyone not looking at the slides, it's like half height. It's not like a
Yeah.
full height mausoleum. It's long and not tall. So
Yeah. I assume, though, that it's... like, I imagine that when you open that door, there's, like, steps or something that you go down in.
maybe. Or the casket could just be in the door.
It's not.
Well, not anymore.
It's not, because he has the only key, and he begins to visit and just, like, chill in there with her. And unless he's, like, smooshed in there, I think there's, like, room to party.
I would bet that that's like a 2 to 4 person mausoleum.
Maybe.
Because most mausoleums or niches and stuff like that hold more than one casket. Because I know my parents have a niche in, it's like one of the big mausoleums, like they already have their funeral niche because they didn't want us to have to worry about that when they pass away. And their niche can hold 2 caskets or 4 cremation jars. So
those don't seem comparable.
yeah, it's much smaller.
You should be able to stuff cremation urns in the space of 2 caskets.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it has more to do with like the amount of room for the names.
Yeah. Well, I will say, big thanks on this to Caitlin Doty, Ask a Mortician on YouTube, because she has a video on this.
I love her.
I do too. She has a video on this.
Caitlin, come be a guest. Hi.
Oh, I would die.
I would die.
She has a video on this. I feel like if anybody would know, like, the blueprint of this mausoleum, I feel like it would be her.
Yeah, probably.
And she did not mention. So,
yeah.
I don't know. But he's visiting her nightly.
Gross.
What he's doing there is he would go converse with her for hours. Just chit-chat about his day. He would inject her body with formaldehyde because she was a corpse.
Oh, I'm scared.
He had a phone installed in the museum. Nope. He had a phone installed in the mausoleum. Not museum.
Definitely not museum.
Not a museum, a mausoleum. So he could call her whenever he wanted.
Excuse me?
You'd think it would just ring and ring. It's not like she could answer.
Why? Was that like in case he thought someone else was there, he could call, and if they pick up, he goes, "Gotcha."
No. No. This phone was for Elena.
He is so weird.
Elena's phone.
I don't like it.
You're not supposed to. If you liked this, I don't think we could be friends anymore. If you were like, this is the kind of stuff that I think is fine.
Like, this is totally normal. Like, wait,
Let's
I was
be
planning on
honest.
putting a phone in my mausoleum.
I want a phone in my grave that only rings, like, will only communicate with a phone in your grave.
Oh, see that.
Like tin can phone.
We could just be buried with cell phones.
We should be buried in
It's 2020 after all.
Let's just be buried together.
Yes.
You and me
in the same
one
casket.
Yeah, which means we do have to like figure it out so we die at the same time. Or roundabout.
I mean,
keep my body on ice because I'm probably gonna die first.
No,
I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
I'm older.
So?
And more reckless.
You're not that much older than me.
This is like, honestly, I told you that the one day I woke Ryan up in the night because I was crying and like snuggling real close.
Yes.
And he was like, "What's the matter?" And I was like, "One day one of us is gonna die and we're gonna leave the other one on their own." And like, honestly, I feel the same way about us.
Yeah.
Like, one day one of us is gonna die.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be all alone.
It's like when you talk to your grandparents and they're like, all my friends are dead.
I know.
It's so sad.
This is a downer.
Sorry.
Sorry. Well, we're gonna have tin can cup phones.
Yes.
Tin cans on a string run between our graves.
Yeah, so we'll never really be alone.
No. I'm gonna get buried
I'm
with a
gonna
picture
haunt
of you.
you.
That's true. What are we talking
For
about?
real.
Okay. He would also sit by her grave, sit by her casket, her body, and sing her favorite Spanish song. And he said that this would compel her spirit to visit him.
Okay, that would be cute if everything else wasn't so darn creepy.
Also, you can't have both. She can't be a spirit and also your wife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at this point, he, like, sees her as his wife, Elena, who can't have a spirit that's visiting you and be alive. Like, he knows she's a corpse.
Oh, yeah, he knows.
Ugh.
Also, he's got to be stealing the formaldehyde, too, right?
Oh, yeah. Also, if you've never smelled formaldehyde, it smells like Sharpies.
Okay,
or like whiteboard markers.
I kind of like the smell of Sharpies.
It smells like whiteboard markers.
I could actually get behind
that. I feel like I'm in lab in college, bio lab. So, 2 years pass in this fashion. Tansler, go ahead.
I just can't even imagine.
2 years of visiting a corpse every night?
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's going to get even worse, because we've got, like, 7 more years.
Yeah, we sure do.
What was that tone?
I'm also at a loss.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm the one telling the story. But he's not... The thing is, like, if he were just visiting the grave every night,
right,
and just, like, hanging out,
right,
that's one thing. Like, I can understand. I'm not really a big one for, like, visit me when I'm dead. Because, like, I'm not there. It's just my body.
Yeah. It's for you, not for me.
Yeah. So, if he were just visiting every night, I guess I could get that.
Right.
If he's going inside with the corpse, doing, like, embalming methods when he's not a mortician.
Listen, I have a real hard time believing that's the only thing he's doing in there to her body.
Well, we'll get to that later.
Oh, God.
Maybe.
Maybe if I talk quieter, it won't be real.
If I talk quiet, the story won't see me. So, 2 years pass. It's 1933.
Okay.
At some point in that 2 years, Carl Tansler was fired from the hospital.
Okay.
Because they found out he was stealing.
But they didn't find out he's not actually a medical doctor.
Like I said, I think he was just a technician, which you don't have to be a doctor to do that.
Fair enough.
I don't think he was there practicing medicine.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe we'll talk about Frank Abagnale one day.
Okay, let's rewind again really quick. I'm sorry, I don't mean to drag this out. But with that context, can you imagine going to the hospital and they say, I'm sorry, you have tuberculosis. There's nothing we can do for you. And the x-ray tech walks up to you and is like, I'm gonna fix it.
I'm a doctor. I don't know if he was like, I'm an x-ray tech here, but I learned medicine. I studied medicine back in the old country.
Oh, the old country.
And I just don't have my, like, licenseship here.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I've heard that kind of stuff. But still.
I have too. I'm always the one who's like, but I can make this make sense.
Yeah.
Somehow. He gets fired.
Rightfully.
And he stops visiting Elena's grave.
Because he can't steal formaldehyde anymore.
Yes and no.
Oh, no.
He stops visiting because he stops needing to visit.
No.
I can't make it better for you. I'm sorry.
My heart hurts.
Well.
Okay.
In 1933, he went to the cemetery one night with a toy wagon, like a little radio, like a radio flyer.
Oh my god. This is such a roller coaster of emotion.
He put her corpse into the toy wagon.
Oh my god.
I can't imagine how you would fit an adult female into a radio flyer.
I would guess, like, in the fetal position.
Yeah, but, like, I just think it would be hard without her, like, cooperation, for lack of better word.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel ya.
So, but he manages to get her into the wagon, and he wheels her on home. He claimed that when he would sing and her spirit would visit, she would often ask him to take her from her grave.
Yeah, sure, bud.
She wanted this.
Yeah.
Which, this whole story is one of consent. Is, like, lack of consent.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, she didn't ask for any of this.
No.
She didn't want any of the things that happened to her.
She was not married to him.
She was not alive. And you do have to be alive to give consent. That is, like... I know that there are people out there who think, like, you can be drunk and give consent,
Nope.
which you can't. And, like, you can say yes, but not be giving consent.
Right.
Like, that is a thing that is real. But, like, I think we can all agree you should be alive.
Yeah, generally speaking.
You can't give consent if you're dead. So, but here's the thing, right? She'd been dead for 2 years at this point.
Uh-huh. I mean, how well does formaldehyde even work? Like, how long can you preserve?
With formaldehyde alone?
Yeah.
That's a question for Caitlin Doty.
I know.
I don't know the answer.
I might have to go back and watch her. Talk about this after and see if she talks about that.
I will link her video in the brief.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you're not familiar with Caitlin's work, you should be.
The best.
Go watch her stuff. Go buy her books.
She is a mortician.
She is excellent.
Fantastic. I think is she in SoCal?
She was in San Francisco. Now she's in LA.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
So she is fantastic.
If you're looking for green burial options, she's your gal.
Yes. We stan. So she's decomposing, right?
Yeah.
She's putrefying.
Right.
She's getting, as we in the business call, yucky.
Ultra yucky.
She is confirmed yucky. So what he did was a little DIY makeover. I wish I could show everyone that face. You look incredulous. What do you mean? You think this isn't gonna work?
No, I don't think it's gonna work.
The jury's still out on that. Let me think. Let me see what you think when I'm done.
Oh dear God, are there photos?
Maybe.
Hannah. Oh my God. Okay. All right.
So he wired her bones together with piano wire.
Wow.
So she was articulated.
Ooh.
Yes, because she didn't have any ligaments anymore.
Oh, yeah.
To, like, hold her bones on.
I'm alive and I barely have ligaments.
You have connective tissue. You need some piano wire.
I do.
We can wire your bones together, and then we can do a good old-fashioned garroting.
Yuck. Okay, so piano wire. And what else?
Then he put glass eyes into her corpse.
Okay.
Like a taxidermy.
Yeah.
He replaced the skin with plaster of Paris and silk cloth soaked in wax.
Okay.
Her hair started falling out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because she doesn't really have a scalp anymore. And so he took the hair that she had and also hair that he had received of hers from her mom.
Excuse?
I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of answers on that one, but
okay.
He consolidated the hair he had. He got the hair that her mom had given, and he made her a wig out of her own hair. Reminds me of the girl on TikTok who's like saving the hair that comes out of the shower. Have you seen this?
No.
Like shower hair.
Yeah.
And she puts it on like a piece of tape and she'll like straighten it and curl it and stuff. She has like a whole little strip of it now.
Why?
I don't know. Science.
Gross. What kind of TikTok are you on?
I'm on shower hair TikTok.
Gross.
So he also, because her organs are gone, like they're putrefying.
Right.
So she needs stuff to fill up her body cavity.
Right.
So he replaced all that with rags.
Okay.
And he would regularly cover her body with like perfumes and oils to disguise the stank.
Okay.
So she was just like real perfumey and oily. She's like a greasy, greasy corpse.
Gross. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Then he would dress her body in her clothes and her jewelry. And he would share a bed with her. And he even hung a curtain so she could have her privacy. Big sigh.
Give me strength.
Like I said, at this point he was convinced he was married to her. This is his wife. He wants his wife to look good. You know when you want your wife to look good, so you like replace all her skin?
And his actual wife had left him already.
No. He left her. No, she was just living in Zephyr Hills.
Sorry, one of them, they were estranged.
Kind of. They were married. He was just in a different place. They, by all accounts, had like a fine, like, working relationship.
Did she not visit?
I don't think.
But then that's not, in my opinion, a fine working relationship.
I don't know. We'll get into it later.
Okay.
But please gird your loins. Prepare yourself, because you are about to go to the next slide, which has the new Elena.
Oh, good.
Elena 2.0.
Okay. Oh my god.
She looks bad. It's not, so for anyone who's like afraid to look in the brief, it's not
gruesome
looking.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
She does look like a doll.
She looks like a mannequin.
It's not
yes.
human looking.
No. Which is why when Florinda got there, she was like, oh, this is a doll that's supposed to look like my sister. Oh, wait. That's my sister's stinky, stinky corpse.
Yeah. I just keep flipping back and forth.
Between what?
Her actual pictures.
Oh, yeah. I see that now on my
You can just see my little icon go back and forth.
Yeah. She doesn't look like herself anymore.
No, she doesn't. He didn't do a very good job with her makeup.
Or any part of it. Like, her nose doesn't look like it's the right shape.
No.
Her hair isn't right because he didn't have enough.
Right.
She's literally made of wax and covered in oil.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next crazy twist of this story?
Oh, there's more.
Yeah. There's like another weird turn here.
Okay.
So he also considered himself obviously to be like an inventor.
An inventor?
Yeah, he was like...
Of what?
Well, if you go to your next slide. So that's him on the right in his like weird hovel house lab thing where he lived with Elena. And on the left, that's Elena's airship. Which is what he called it.
Okay. So
this is an aircraft.
But is it?
Perhaps a spacecraft. Well, it's not fully done and functional yet, but it's the plan. Is he's going to put himself and Elena into this spaceship. He's going to fly them high up into the atmosphere. And the radiation from space is going to reanimate Elena. Science side of Tumblr, explain.
I don't think that's science.
Of course it is. What else would it be? If it's not science, then what is it, Elizabeth?
It's madness.
Yes. This brings us to the year 1940, where we began our story.
Yeah.
It had been 7 years since Tansler had taken the corpse from the grave, and rumors were starting to circulate.
Rumors of what?
Well, people claimed that they had seen Tansler in front of his window dancing with a doll that looked like Elena.
Okay.
There was some weirdness happening, and people were getting suspicious.
So it's the neighbors again.
It is the neighbors. Thank God for the neighbors.
Seriously. Okay, so they call it in?
No. They tell Florinda, like, Florinda hears about this.
Oh, okay. I see.
And that is what drove her to force her way into his Hovel House lab and investigate for herself.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, I don't exactly imagine that they were, like, friends and, like, hanging out, and she just happened upon it.
Mm-mm. I don't think people were, like, allowed into his home.
Yeah.
They would see his corpse wife. So she alerted the authorities about what she found.
Right.
And she returned with the police, who arrested him.
Good.
They sent him for a psychiatric examination.
Uh-huh.
Because, duh.
Right.
Yeah. But they did find him fit to stand trial for the charge of wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization.
Sure. Makes sense. Seems a little, generous. But...
Well, being weird isn't a crime.
But, like, desecration of a corpse is the thing.
Next slide here is him. I think these are investigators, and behind him are the pipes of one of his many organs.
Uh-huh.
He was an organist, because of course he was. Organists are weird, man.
Yeah.
And then there's him with a picture of Elena and him with a death mask he had made of Elena.
Okay.
I do not understand why he did not use this death mask for the face of the doll.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or to, like, help form the face of the doll. Because it literally is a mold of her face.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't think of that.
Maybe not.
So are you ready to be mad?
Make me mad.
The statute of limitations had run out.
You're kidding me.
No. Apparently there's a statute of limitations and it's 9 years or something. It's around abouts then.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So he was never officially charged with this.
He just walked?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the incident drew regional and national media coverage.
Well, yeah.
Of course. But the public, instead of thinking that he was some sort of grave-robbing creepshow,
No.
they found him to be a sympathetic, eccentric romantic.
I am so mad.
Seething. The people of Florida, explain.
This makes zero sense.
I can't help. I have no answers.
Why did you do this to me?
Like I said, I don't know what possessed me. Something came into my brain and I was just like, today's the day for Carl Tansler. They took Elena's body and she was examined and autopsied to, like, see what exactly he did.
Right.
This is the part, so the autopsy examination happened in 1940. There are photos of it. I didn't include them because they're yucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't feel like this poor woman needs to be put on display any more than she already was.
Yeah.
If you are interested in them, Caitlin does include them in her video. No shade on Caitlin at all for that.
Her videos
she does talk.
Yeah, her videos are more educational as well.
Yes, she does talk about the autopsy. She talks about their findings and stuff. So that's not shade toward Caitlin. I just didn't feel like we needed to include
We
it.
stan her too much to shade her.
Oh, absolutely. Our non-problematic queen.
For real.
In 1972, two of the pathologists who were involved in the autopsy claim that he had reconstructed her, he had inserted, like, a tube,
Yeah.
right? into her sexual organs. And that wasn't included in the autopsy. That wasn't included in any of the photos. But they claim that that was the case. And that that was for sexual intercourse.
Right. Which I knew that was coming. I mean...
But it's not known if this was just sensationalism, because it was so much later after the fact. But like, I can't imagine he would be like, "Oh yeah, we're married. I'm dressing her up,
and
I'm
also
sleeping
I'm
in the same
celibate."
bed." Yeah. So yeah, they don't know if they if he consummated this marriage.
Yuck, 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 yuck.
Absolutely yucky. But after the autopsy and everything was done, they put the body on display at the Dean Lopez Funeral Home, where it was viewed by up to 6,800 people.
Why?
Because people wanted to see it.
That's awful.
It is awful, because this was a human being.
Like, where's her family? Like, how did they feel about
They
all
died of
this?
tuberculosis.
All of them?
Yeah, like, all of her immediate family died of tuberculosis.
But her sister...
Her sister died in 1944.
Oh my goodness. I'd be rolling in my grave.
It would be very upsetting.
That's really awful.
Yes.
Let's talk about consent again real fast.
Yeah, because she could not consent to any of this. It's not like she was a person who, like, donated her body to science or whatever to be studied and looked at and stuff. But this wasn't that far away from, I mean, what they used to do is if they had morgue victims who they didn't know who they were, they would have like a daily viewing.
Yeah.
And people would come to see if it was somebody they knew, or they would just come to see them. There wasn't a lot that was going on.
Yeah.
And in the 40s, you know, people have a morbid curiosity. As disgusting as it is that they did this to this woman.
Yep. That's just...
I mean, it's the same reason we're talking about it today, if we're honest.
It's just very disrespectful.
Eventually, they did show her respect, though. They reinterred her. Not in her mausoleum.
Good.
But in an unmarked grave.
Because he was free.
The juice is loose. He's running around ready to dig her back up, I'm sure. Yeah, so they just slapped her into a grave, didn't mark it, no stone, nothing.
Right.
So hopefully she could finally rest.
Yeah.
In 1944, Tanzler moved to Pasco County, Florida, which is near Zephyr Hills, which is where his wife lived. And Doris supported him for the rest of his life.
Ugh.
Like, financially.
Nope, not me. Could not be me.
Well, especially now that you know you're not the love of his life. Yeah. He went on to write an autobiography that was published in a pulp publication called Fantastic Adventures, and this is called his story in it is called The Secret of Elena's Tomb. So it's not like a book.
Yeah.
It was in like a pulp magazine, like a pulp publication.
Now, here's the real question. Is her mausoleum still there?
I don't know.
Oh, really?
I really don't know. I'm not sure. It would be neat if it was. He also received his citizenship in 1950. That was just like a side.
Again,
point.
Couldn't be me.
It couldn't be me, the United States.
Yeah.
Listen, lady. That's the least of our worries.
I know.
Obviously, now he's separated from his beloved Elena.
Yes.
So he did use her death mask this time to create an effigy that he lived with.
Right. Oh my god, under his actual wife's roof.
They didn't live together. He just lived near her.
That also confuses me. Cut the cord, lady.
Yeah. So there's like a couple popular stories about this where like he actually found her grave and swapped them, and like it wasn't really a doll, it was her body, but that's not true. He died on July 3rd, 1952.
Okay.
And his body was found 3 weeks later.
Yuck.
The popular story is that he was found lying in the arms of his Elena doll. But he was actually found behind one of his many organs that he owned, because he was a creepy organ player. And that's the end.
Oh, God, there was so much there.
So you see what I mean? Where, like, it is true crime. There is crime in this. But it's
yeah.
so much more than that.
Yep, it sure was.
Because he didn't murder her and then do this. But what he did was a crime.
Oh, for sure.
Like I said, it was a crime against God, a crime against me personally.
Yeah. Yep. I would like to press charges. Thank you.
Yes. Can you press charges on a dead man?
Especially after the statute of limitation has run up multiple times over.
Right. Do you have any thoughts you'd like to add?
I want to know if the mausoleum is still there.
I'll Google it while you continue speaking.
I want to know if they did eventually mark her grave. Just because...
After he died?
Yes. Just because, like, I feel like... I mean, she's dead. I'm sure she doesn't care. But, like, I feel like it's respectful. But I'm sure they did not. And also, what the heck is his wife up to? That's just... She supported him after that? And, like,
yeah.
I don't think anybody would have questioned her if she was just like, nah, I want a divorce.
No.
But she was like, this is fine. This works for me. Continue to just not live in my house, and I'll pay for your lifestyle. You filthy, dirty, lying.
Necrophilia.
Yep. What do you think about it?
I've always thought it was awful, obviously. I think it's disgusting that he was never able to be charged for it.
Yeah. The fact, I'm really shocked that the statute of limitations could have run out, because in my mind, there's multiple crimes, and it's like one of those
like
crimes.
Tampering with a corpse or something.
Yeah. Desecration, theft, you know. I don't know. It's just, it's hard for me to believe that there was no crime that he could have been tried with.
Honestly, I'm not sure if the mausoleum is still there. I'm not sure if I don't know. I have not.
That's okay.
I have no answers.
That's all right.
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild ride.
It is. That's a twisty boy.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this in high school because we read a short story called A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner.
Okay.
And it is about a person who keeps a corpse in their house.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it's a man or a woman. But we read that in English, and then my teacher, Mrs. Beagle, if you're listening, was like, oh yeah, by the way, this actually happened. Here you go. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I was introduced to this case.
And then you were like, oh my God, true crime. I'm never going back.
Oh, that was a long time before that. Absolutely a long time.
Yeah.
What are you reading? What are you recommending? Because we have to get away from necrophilia, please.
So I'm actually in between books. I never did finish the last one that we talked about. I just didn't get back to it. But I am actually probably going to be just like reading the Bible for a bit.
Yeah.
So I want to read the New International Translation, which is supposed to be a more accurate translation. And I know I've mentioned this to you before, but they also supposedly correct a lot of things that are just like euphemisms or like slang, basically. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to Scott about it yesterday, and for example, one of those things is 40 days and 40 nights. That's not supposed to be literal, I guess. I guess that is slang. Mm-hmm. And that just means like a really long time. Like what is the word I'm like trying to look for? a figure of speech. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just
like an idiom.
Yes, exactly. So this like clarifies and corrects some of those, and I'm quite interested in it. So,
is it the new
international?
The new international version, the NIV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it is not new, quote unquote new.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never heard of this, and I'm like a little bit worried. I don't want you reading something that's like not factual.
Yeah.
But the NIV is used frequently in churches now. I'm not.
Yes.
It is a Protestant Bible.
Yeah. Well, he was raised Protestant, so.
I know, but that might be new for you.
Yeah. Kyle has been reading like the Hebrew Bible because of his girlfriend, which he's been super, super into it. And it's really funny because their Bibles are so long because they're so much more interested in interpretation and like intentionally seeing it in many different ways, I guess. I'm probably not describing that well, but he's been super into that.
So you're reading the Bible.
I'm gonna try to.
Are you recommending the Bible?
I guess so. I want to recommend the version because a lot of people don't know about that translation, I think. And I do think, like, I'm biased, of course, but I do think that, like, if you're a Christian, I do feel like you have a little bit of obligation to research beyond one version of the Bible.
Yeah, so I grew up Pentecostal.
Right.
I am Pentecostal. We've talked about this. I grew up with the guidance that, like, when you're doing Bible study, you should have multiple translations available to you.
Yep.
So usually when somebody's studying, they'll have the NIV, the King James Version, that kind of thing. Most of my Bibles are NIV versions. A lot of modern Christians like the NIV, or a lot of beginner Christians like the NIV because it's a little bit more easy to understand.
Yeah.
Than the King James Version, which is in Elizabethan English.
Right.
So the NIV isn't completely like hidden thing. If you were raised Pentecostal, or not Pentecostal, Protestant.
Yeah.
But maybe if you're new to Christianity, or you're interested, but you are thrown for a loop by the these and thous and thys, and maybe you might like that.
I mean, I was raised Catholic, and I don't transcribe to it, but Catholicism is very much like, this is the Bible, like whatever version it is. I think it's King James that they use. I don't really remember. You can Google it if you want. But this is the Bible. There's no room for interpretation. Boom, point blank. And so it's like, for me, I didn't even realize that there were different translations. I didn't realize that King James removed books. I didn't realize that there were all these alterations and stuff in history, until later. So,
I mean, but what you'll find if you read the King James text, or the New King James text, or NIV, there are still 66 books.
Right.
It's still the same amount of information. It's just a different way of translating it. And for instance, I have a Bible that has specific Pentecostal commentary. It's called a Fire Bible. So it's like double as thick as a normal Bible, because half of the page is the text and half of the page is the commentary.
Right. That's the thing. We don't get commentary in Catholicism. The only commentary you get is church on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly a conversation. So,
womp womp.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts as you read.
Yeah, we'll see. Scott pulled his copy out for me last night, so we'll see.
I may have a copy that I'm not reading that I could give you if you want. That could be yours.
We'll see. I'll let you know.
I'm currently reading. I am doing a listening to and a reading. 2 different books this time.
Ooh.
Not the same book.
Okay.
So I am reading a book called Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. It is very, very good. That's the book I was talking about where I had to figure out what time period it's set in.
Yeah.
It's a thriller. It's kind of spooky, and it's very, you can tell that it's very influenced by the short story The Yellow Wallpaper.
I don't know it.
If you've ever read that. The Yellow Wallpaper is another story that I read in high school and then again in college for stuff. It's a short story. It's by Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Mm-hmm.
You can find it on Project Gutenberg.
Oh, nice.
So for free if you'd like to read it. It's short. It's a short story. It's very feminist. The Yellow Wallpaper, it's about a woman who's put on bed rest, basically, and she starts going crazy because of, like, the patterns in the wallpaper. She starts seeing things.
Oh.
But it's the idea of her being, like, shut up and having hysteria.
Yeah.
So Mexican Gothic kind of pulls from that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it is kind of, like I said, kind of spooky, kind of thriller-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I'm reading that I'm listening to is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, because I've never read it.
Me neither.
So I got it on Audible because they have a lot of classics that are available in, like, your membership.
Yeah.
Like your Audible exclusive ones. So it's a Rosamund Pike is reading it. So it's very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just plugging away through that so that I can say that I've read it. I'm enjoying it a lot. And then my last update is I finished Axiom's End, which I talked about last episode,
Mm-hmm.
by Lindsay Ellis.
Yes.
I read that in 3 sittings. I tore through it.
Yeah.
It was so, so very good. It is the first in a series, but now I have to wait for her to write the second one.
That's the worst.
I know. And it was so, so good that I didn't want it to end, and I even read the acknowledgments through because I was like, I don't want to be finished.
Yeah.
It was just very, very good and very different from a lot of stuff that I've read.
Good.
Or that is out there right now.
Good.
So that is what is going on in my literary world.
Whew, you would think that we hadn't checked in on you in a month. That was a lot.
I know. I like to read.
I know.
Reading is like my, I don't know. And it really wasn't till I got Audible and could start listening to things that I could really, like, read.
Right.
But
yeah, I don't have
until I lost my job.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have time to, like, sit down most of the time and read. So that's the audiobooks come in clutch.
Yeah. Well, would you like to tell the people where they can find us?
I sure can. We are Briefcase Crimes across all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. You can listen to full episodes anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If you would like to support us monetarily, you can buy us a coffee on ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/briefcasecrimes. Or you can purchase any of our book recommendations on bookshop.org. They support local bookshops by donating 75% of profits to them, and they also support us through our affiliate link by giving us a small percentage of the profits as well. And you can find that link as well as all of the other links that I've mentioned in our link tree, which is always in our bio and the description of our episodes.
Well said.
Thank you.
And let's wrap this boy up.
Thank you so much for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Love you, Peggy.